tornado warning from the National Weather Service. I'll clear the track and we'll do a little more in-depth analysis. And basically, if you've been watching our coverage, we've been looking for red and green close together, and we are picking that up. This area that is just east of Sharpsville, and the cell itself is tracking northeast toward Greentown and Sims. May stay just south of you, Greentown, but you're in the warning area, so go ahead and get to the safest part of your home. And we can go street level, give you a little more idea of where we are. So we're northwest of Elwood, southeast of Kokomo. Basically, it's the Tipton Howard County line. And there's where we have the rotation here, just to the east of Sharpsville. And this is tracking off northeast at about 40 miles per hour. So if you're in this area, this is where we have the potential for a tornado at this point, east of Sharpsville. Again, we're Howard-Tipton County line, and that tornado warning goes until 2 o'clock this afternoon. And it's one of several warnings that we're keeping an eye on. And I'll bring it back out to a larger view, and we'll get with Sean here in just a second. The new tornado warning until 2 o'clock for parts of Howard and Tipton counties. Let's get you caught up on another cell that we're watching. This one, a severe thunderstorm warning. We had the very heavy rain move through downtown. This one, the cell itself is over Lawrence, so northeastern Marion County. This is tracking northeast. Again, these are running 40 to 50 miles per hour in between Fishers and Fortville and into Pendleton. This is a severe thunderstorm warning, not a tornado warning, but remember, all of us are under a tornado watch, and it doesn't take much to get a thunderstorm in the atmosphere that we're dealing with to quickly rotate. So I would treat this severe thunderstorm warning maybe a little higher than a typical severe thunderstorm, simply because we're under the tornado watch. So what that means is the safest part of your home, lowest level, away from windows and doors. If you're in the Lawrence and Castleton area, and then as we move into Hamilton County and into southern Madison County, this severe thunderstorm warning goes until 1:45. And before we get off this, let's go ahead and check those velocities too, just to see nothing really standing out at this point. Again, we're looking for that kind of red and green close together, and really not seeing maybe a little bit of embedded rotation here southwest of Fortville. And as we've been pointing out, really doesn't take much to get these thunderstorms to spin or rotate, just because of the atmosphere we're dealing with, a very, very windy atmosphere. Let's go south, because I have another warning that I want to show you, and that's going to include parts of Shelby County. So we'll just slide south of that location, and it's for a couple of cells here. This one that is just to the north of Hope, severe thunderstorm warning in this area, and this one is going to go until 1:45 as well. So it's going to include a good part of southern Shelby and the northern sections of Bartholomew County, and this cell basically on the county line. This one looks pretty interesting, so we'll check velocities here as well. Again, not this one actually, Sean, watching that one north of Hope, looked had a little bit of a hook on it on the tail end of that cell, and we are picking up just a little bit of rotation here. So again, this one is a severe thunderstorm warning, but southern Shelby County, northern Bartholomew, I would treat this a little higher than your normal severe thunderstorm warning, and I would go ahead and get into the safest part of your home. And we'll go street level here too, just to kind of give you an idea of the area that we're watching. It's this just north of Hope, and basically near and just south of Flat Rock, headed into Morristown now, and it will quickly kind of move off to the northeast. We're expecting these to go 40 to 50 miles per hour off to the north and east. So let's come out, and I'll do a track on where we think the strongest, we're detecting the strongest part of this storm, and that way it'll give you an idea of some of the areas that will be in the path of this one. So I'm going to just take it from the center of the strongest part of that storm, and we'll go 40, 45 miles per hour off to the northeast. And let's get rid of the warning. That way you can see some of the towns. And again, there's not a lot popped up, but basically it's just going to be in between Hope, Rushville, and north of Greensburg that we want you to be in the safest part of your home, away from windows and doors. And the other one that we're watching is just south of there. And it looks like they just upgraded that, Sean, to a tornado warning for that cell that is south of Shelbyville. So it's in this area here near Westport, just north of North Vernon.
Yeah, just north of North Vernon here. You can see that you know, again, we're talking about an environment over the eastern half of the state versus the western half of the state. We've been telling you all day long we're going to have to get to 3:30 before these things can get out of the state. In between that time, we're going to get these cells that at times will spin. And that's what we're seeing with that particular tornado warning. And it does include parts of Jennings County. I will tell you, it is north of North Vernon, but within the polygon would be Westport. Right now, south of Greensburg. So again, the rotation will show you, and I'll circle it, is right there. So that's going to stay, and it's moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. Okay, so that may keep it just to the south of Westport as well. In addition, as we put the product, boy, I tell you, that is a big time hook, as Angela's been talking about, right there, north of Hope. And let's see.
In an atmosphere that we're dealing with now, you really have to treat the severe thunderstorm warning like a tornado warning, especially when we see things like that.
I would agree with you because it doesn't take a whole lot. So that will stay south of Shelbyville. I've circled the spin there. It will be just north of Hope, but moving northeast at 45 miles per hour would put Rush County in play, would put Rushville perhaps in play. So we want you to stay weather aware on that. This thing, you know, eastern half of Shelby County, you should be treating that with definitely respect, lowest level, away from windows. And then let's go back up to the other tornado warning that started our coverage, and that is very, very tight rotation just south of Greentown here. All right, so I'm going to put on our 4-panel product that we don't do a whole lot, but we do in this situation because it allows us to look at a lot of information at once with you. So north of Windfall, and we're getting a new scan that's coming in now, okay, south of Jerome, right there along 400 South. That, if it is producing a tornado, that's where it would be, okay, right in this area here. And so we want you to be treating that as well. That stays east of Kokomo, by the way. Marion, if you're in Grant County, watch that closely as well until that can clear you. Okay, let's go back to the, let's get you back to regular radar here. And I want to put it, this is the last 15 minutes. So there's the back side of the line that's now entering the western portion of the metro area. Everywhere west of there, severe storm threat is over, not necessarily gusty wind, but severe threat is over. Everywhere east of there remains in play for rotating thunderstorms and the potential, Angela, that we could have tornadoes that spin out of these things rather quickly.
Yeah, and now we're having a little more continuing coverage for you. Might be curious, okay, watch warning, what's the difference? We've been under the tornado watch now for a couple of hours. It was issued late this morning, and that means tornadoes are possible, and that was the time to review your plan. So hopefully you did that. Once the warning is issued, that's when you need to take that plan and put it into action. And even though we're dealing with a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings and a couple of tornado warnings, we would really like you to treat every warning with some extra caution. And that's when we either detect on radar or a spotter has seen a tornado. And that's when you need to take the action and put it into play and go ahead and get into the safest part of your home. That's going to be the lowest level away from windows and doors. And you might be curious, okay, does that include a closet? I don't have a basement. Basement is obviously going to be your safest choice because that's going to be your lowest level. That's where you would want to go. But you don't have a basement. So let's go to the main floor of your home and put yourselves in the middle. So choose a bathroom, choose a closet. You want to put as many walls between you and the outside as you possibly can and no windows. So again, in this representation, you would choose the bathroom or a small closet. That's going to be the safest part of your home, lowest level and away from all of those windows and doors. We're also monitoring, in addition to within the storms and that threat for damaging winds and the threat for some rotation, we also have the potential outside of those storms for severe gusts. In fact, we've had wind gusts in excess of 50 miles per hour already in several locations, and we'll check those for you quickly. These right now in Bloomington, not dealing with the severe threat, but dealing with a 53-mile-per-hour wind gust. So even outside of the thunderstorms, we are monitoring some very gusty winds with the potential for some power outages. We want to take you to the Wanamaker area. This is along I-74. So what we're looking for here, and it's going to be a little difficult to see just because of all the heavy rain, but we would obviously, we've got spotters out, the National Weather Service does, looking for this severe weather, but really this kind of tells the story. So we're I-74 in the Wanamaker area, so this is near Post Road. Heavy rain coming down at this hour, and even if you're not dealing with the severe threat, you're going to be dealing with heavy rain and those gusty winds, and this kind of sums up what we're dealing with. A couple of areas of interest, basically 4. Yes, sir.
A developing tornado here. Let's go to Links 1. This is in Hancock County. This is just east of McCordsville.
Oh, wow.
Rotation tightening up. So there's Oak Landon. There's Pendleton Pike. So this is east of Oak Landon. And do you see the red and green right there near Denny Corner? Okay. Now, this is what it looks like from the velocity product. This is what it looks like from the debris detector. That very well may be tornado damage. What's being picked up from this rotation. That is, again, east of Oak Landon, southeast of McCordsville.
Yeah, and 36, if you're not familiar with 36 also Pendleton Pike. So
Correct.
If you're watching at home and thinking, what is 36? Well, that's basically Pendleton Pike, and that debris that Sean was showing and circling there is just south of Pendleton Pike.
Yeah, so that's very possible that is, either way, we've got tightening rotation there, almost going to run parallel just to the east of Pendleton Pike. Fortville, Ingalls, I would go ahead and just be in your safe spot until the circulation with this can pass by to your east. And that's going to take probably a 15, 20 minutes, all right? So we're diving in there. We'll see if we get an upgrade on this to a tornado warning, but to me that looks like, in fact, there it is.
There it is, yep. I was just getting ready to.
Yeah, so this will include, this is going to include portions of Hamilton, Hancock, Madison counties. Tornado warning until 2 p.m. And I think they're seeing what we're seeing on radar. It looks to me like that is a tornado debris signature. So I'm going to go ahead and put this is going to be the quad box, what we call the quad box. So it allows us to look at all kinds of data at once. I'm going to circle the area of importance here. And the spin's right there over, that still puts it southeast of Pendleton Pike, near Denny Corner there. And that could be the tornado debris signature that we're seeing. So we want you in your safe locations here. Hopefully you were watching the coverage. So this is just rain. But in this situation, you have to look for the rotation within the storm. So that puts it right now just south of Fortville. All right. Likely that is definitely a tornado warning that has been issued, and that will include portions of Hancock, Madison, and Hamilton counties there.
Okay, we're going to give you a reset of what we're dealing with. Several warnings in place right now. Good part of central Indiana still under the tornado watch until 4 o'clock. Sean pointed out if you are west of this line, that severe threat is diminishing. And so we're starting to see some of our western counties dropped from the tornado watch. Let's go north to south, and we'll pick up several of these warnings, kind of get you caught up and reset on the reason we've got some additional live weather coverage for you today. And let's go just to the north. I'm going to clear this tornado warning real quick so you can see everything. Let's go north. No warnings in the Logansport area, but very, very heavy rain, plenty of lightning. This is south of Logansport into Deer Creek, moving quickly toward Peru. Here is the tornado warned cell that developed just near Windfall in the northern sections of Tipton County, and it is making its way quickly off to the northeast into Marion. While we're here, we'll check those velocities because, as Sean mentioned, That's the easiest way for us to tell where there is the potential for a tornado. And we're still seeing that rotation that is going to be just to the south of Gas City. It's almost out of the warning box at this point, so we'll wait and see from the National Weather Service. But if you were with us as we kind of got on the air and mentioned this tornado warning, Sims and Swayze were a couple of the areas that were in the path. Rotation looks to be just south of Sims, but we want you in the safest part of your home. And with this one going north and east, just giving you a heads up, Marion and Gas City, it's kind of tracking your way. Speaking of tracking, we'll do a track on this to get you, give you an idea of where we expect it to go and basically some times of arrival, how many minutes you have to perhaps get into the safest part of your home. And with storms like this, that's going to be really key over the next couple of hours as we remain under the threat for severe weather. And right now that rotation is just to the south of Sweetser and just to the south of Sims, and actually appears to be broadening a little bit, so that's some good news. Let's go south and pick up our additional warnings. And there was that intense storm that developed in the severe thunderstorm warning area, and now we think has perhaps, no confirmation on this, produced a tornado and maybe a little bit of damage. At least what we're seeing as Sean tracked that debris signature, that he was showing you that debris that we assume was from this cell here that is just to the south of Fortville, in between Fortville and Denny Corner, and moving off to the north and east. Looks like it's headed toward Eden. So if you're familiar with these areas, we're talking northern sections or southern sections of Hamilton County, Hancock County, and this is the area that we want you to be in the safest part of your home, away from windows and doors. And Sean, that still looks very, very tight in terms of rotation at this point. And it is in that tornado warning area. That tornado warning goes until 2 o'clock this afternoon. Heads up, Ingalls, Pendleton, Markleville. This is all moving off northeast and headed your way.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm getting some tweets and some folks saying the sirens are going off in Fishers. Technically, Fishers not in the tornado warning, the rotation with that particular storm to your east. Let's go to I-70. This is I-70 Mount Comfort. And I'm telling you, if you're in the eastern portion, if you're east of Fortville, you're in Ingalls, you're in Pendleton, Markleville, you need to be in your safe spot. Okay, this thing still has very tight rotation with it. It could produce a tornado at any moment if it's not still doing so. And that tornado warning, I will say, McCordsville and Fortville. And go back to the radar if we could, guys. And if you want to split box it with the NDOT camera, that's fine too. Fortville and McCordsville, the threat of a tornado is to your east. So the threat is over for you right now. This is just east of Fortville, not far from Ingalls, and lifting to the northeast. I want to take this back about 15 minutes so you can see the movement with this. And where you see those red and greens get tighter together, that is the circulation tightening up. And there's our shear rate. That's very strong shear that's moving toward Pendleton. All right. Let's go back to our debris tracker. And right now, not seeing anything like what we call a donut hole. But as we go back, so that's around 135. That's what caught my attention. And that's when I felt like we were having a developing tornado. Okay. And that's real near, that's right there. We need to get our desk to maybe check. So that's near Pendleton Pike there by Oak Landing. And then there you go. So just to the east now, circulation center east of Fortville. Let me just draw a line here. So basically, if you're over here near Pendleton and Markleville, you're still in play for this rotation to move over you, and in play for this thing to produce a tornado at any given moment until we see signs of otherwise at this point. Now, west of that line, as I mentioned, Fortville, McCordsville, if you live toward Ruoff, that risk is over for you. I know the sirens. I know you're hearing the sirens in Fishers. And there's no tornado threat for you right now. Now, Can't say that that won't change because we still have storms to your west. We have to get through those first before we can give the all clear. All right? And then, Angela, as we look upstream here, some good news with that cell that prompted our initial coverage here. That rotation has weakened. And then as we look down the stream, we still have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings. So wind still remains an issue. And still, this thing, we'll have to watch this as well. That'll stay south of Rushville, the spin here. We need to watch that one too to see if it's going to intensify for that southern portion of Rush County. So again, tornado warning continues there. That puts it in right along that Madison-Hancock County line, right there. There's the spin that still goes right now, and that, I mean, that's, I don't even care if you get a tornado. That whenever I see that particular signature on live Doppler 13, we typically will get some wind damage.
Yes, because you can see it in that, basically the legend, when we've seen, you know, these spikes of green here and there on the shear detector, but definitely in that red and that strong zone that is just to the north of East 1100 North and pushing just to the south of Idlewood. So if you're familiar with this area, we're Hancock, northern Hancock, southern Madison, and this storm is moving in. We're going to do a couple of storm tracks for you on the storms that we continue to watch closely. And the one is that storm that Sean was just tracking, and that rotation now east of Ingalls. But as it moves off to the north and east, we're doing this between 40, 50 miles per hour or so. These are times of arrival, and we want you to make sure that if you are in this area, in this path, now's the time to be in the safe part of your home. So Markleville in 8 minutes, Middletown in 17, Daleville in 20, Sulphur Springs in 21, Mount Summit in 26, Yorktown 27. So that would take it eventually into portions of Delaware County. So we just want to give you a heads up. This is a storm that, at least from radar, looked like it could have done some damage, and it's something that we're going to have the newsroom check on in that area just south of Pendleton Pike as this one developed kind of near the McCordsville and Fortville area. But that's the latest track on this tornado warning over about the next half hour or so. We'll clear that track and kind of give you a reset. Just in case you're curious, okay, that's not where I live. What's happening where I live? Well, if you are west, Lafayette, Terre Haute, your severe threat has ended. If you're anywhere east, we're still dealing with these complexes of storms that have the potential to rotate, have the potential to do some damage, even if they don't rotate with some severe wind gusts nearing 60 miles per hour. We started north. No, okay, perfect. According to our executive producer at this point, no word on any damage in the area, so that's good news. Maybe there were just a few trees, limbs, or something that blew up that radar picked up on, but that is what we want, is no damage at this point. Let's go south, and this was a tornado warned cell that is now basically out of the warning area, but we're in our southern viewing areas. So this is the North Vernon, Seymour, and then as we move to the southeast of Greensburg. This by far is the strongest storm that is getting ready to enter southwestern Franklin County. So it will move off to the northeast, headed toward Brookville. So please keep that in mind. This cell had a history of a tornado warning and a severe thunderstorm warning. So that's something that we'll continue to monitor closely. And then as we go to the north, we're going to pick up some additional storms that develop, especially as we get to the area that Sean pointed out, just south of Rushville. That one not quite as intense, but it's been showing this little curvature from time to time, or a little bit of hook. So Rushville, we want you to stay heads up on that. Strongest part now is approaching Connersville in our eastern viewing area. So here is I-70 and Highway 40. It's just south of there, approaching Connersville. Let's go ahead and check velocities while we're here. With the lightning, a little hard to tell. But this is still one that we'll watch closely for perhaps some stronger winds, and they did just now issue a severe thunderstorm warning on that one. So National Weather Service seeing what we're seeing in terms of the intensity of that storm, the potential for some damaging winds, large hail, and still can't rule out something that would rotate. The severe thunderstorm warning goes until 2:30. We did get some information that folks and fishers were hearing sirens. Remember, depending on the county, the community you live in, if it's a severe thunderstorm warning and a tornado watch, sometimes those sirens will sound. And really, that's the message we've been trying to give out to you today, that treat these warnings seriously, a little more seriously than a regular severe thunderstorm warning, because of the tornado watch, because of the atmosphere that we have in place. And we want to make sure you keep you and your family safe. But severe thunderstorm warning for Connersville, that goes until 2:30. That will include Richmond as well, as this storm moves off to the north and east between 40 and 50 miles per hour. Let's go west. Severe thunderstorm warning here for Greenfield. We'll check velocities too, just so we can kind of see what we're dealing with. Doesn't appear we're picking up much, so severe thunderstorm warning for you, Hancock County, including Greenfield. And our shear detector, we can check that as well. And the good news in that warning area, that has weakened significantly just within the last couple of minutes. But we do want you to stay heads up between Anderson and Greenfield as we monitor the potential for additional warnings, maybe some additional rotation. Strongest part of the storm is just north of Greenfield, so along and north of I-70. And then as we head north in between Greenfield and Anderson, definitely stay inside, stay away from windows and doors. A couple of strong storms moving through your area and basically right now. And then we'll go west and show you some additional storms. We've got heavy rain on the northwest side of Marion County. No warnings here. This will move back toward Fishers. Very heavy rain, northern Hamilton County coming out of Boone. That's in the Sheridan area. And we'll check our warning up into Tipton and Howard counties. That was allowed to expire. No new warnings, but heads up, Marion and Gas City, this cluster of storms does have a history of some stronger wind gusts, does have a history of a tornado warning. So just be weather aware. These storms are moving in Marion, Gas City, and Fairmount. They extend back west through Tipton. There's Sheridan. We've got some heavy rain pushing just east of Deer Creek, and plenty of lightning too. These Peru, we mentioned you just a few minutes ago, these storms were coming out of Logansport, and they are moving your way at this point. So kind of give you a big view. Tornado watch until 4 o'clock. These little individual clusters, especially east of Indianapolis, have the greatest risk to produce a tornado, to produce damaging winds and the large hail. And we still have a handful of warnings at this point, mainly across the eastern half of the state, Sean. There was good news with that storm that triggered the tornado warning that we saw develop just south of Pendleton Pike. The shear didn't look quite as strong.
Yeah, and we did get a report of some minor damage perhaps around McCordsville. Angela, we have a crew on the way. I will tell you that, as you were saying here, that's the best news we have with the radar going on right now is that the rotation now, it's very weak, very subtle, but not nearly as strong as it was 15 minutes ago when it really stuck out like a sore thumb that we were likely seeing tornado debris signature on the radar here. So as we've been telling you all day long, that it was probably going to take until about 3 o'clock to get these things clearly out of the state. And I think that timeline's still likely going to hold. These things are moving fast. The metro area, this is it. I mean, this what's moving through right now. Once this gets to our east, we will generally be done. We're still going to have wind. We still have some big storms around. In fact, the one that's down there over Ripley County that's prompted the severe thunderstorm warning, that could be upgraded. And then we've got a big one that's over Connersville right now. All right, so let's, if you're in that severe thunderstorm polygon that goes until 2:30, this would include Connersville and Brownsville and even Richmond. You know, you got to stay on top of it. Just treat it as if you could have a tornado quickly. Because these things, they're in an environment, they're going to spin. And no one can tell you exactly, you know, Hey, yep, it's coming down. So that's why they've issued the severe thunderstorm warning with a tag of tornado possible. We still technically have that tornado warning for parts of Hancock and Madison counties, though the radar really is in our favor for the time being. I will tell you, and this is, excuse me, not a surprise, but they are dropping the watch back to the west. And so there you go. So as we said, areas west of that line, the threat is over. Still got another probably hour, maybe hour and a half for far eastern Indiana to get these cells out of here. And then we'll focus on what's left of the wind machine that's still blowing around. I've had all kinds of people, Noblesville, Fishers, Greenfield, talking about the sirens going off. And I was thinking about that, Angela. We were under a tornado watch. Some counties will sound sirens when a severe thunderstorm warning is issued. That may have been the case in this particular situation. I can tell you right now, Fishers, Noblesville, that you're in good shape. You're done.
They're going to upgrade that severe thunderstorm warning to a tornado warning for central Franklin County in the southeastern part of the state. Yep. So that storm that you just said. Yep. Most likely would have an upgrade. They have upgraded it new to from the National Weather Service. Tornado warning until 2:15. It's going to include central Franklin County, northeastern Ripley County and north central Dearborn, so in the southeastern part of the state. So let's go there now and get you caught up on the storm that is now prompting a new tornado warning. And this was really the first time we had seen our little rotating cylinder, which basically helps us tell you and show you where the rotation is within a storm. First time we've seen that pop up today, so fairly intense rotation most likely with this storm that is just to the northeast of Napoleon, south of Oldenburg. But if you're in the area, Oldenburg, Sunman over toward Brookville, you need to be in the safest part of your home. Lowest level away from windows and doors. This tornado warning is going to go until 2:15 as it moves off to the north and east. We'll check our velocities too while we're here, and Sean kind of was pointing this out already, that it is kind of intensified and that rotation is tightening up a little bit. This is, if you're familiar with the southeastern part of our state, so Franklin County is here in Brookville, and basically it developed in northeastern Ripley and is tracking its way into Franklin County at this point. So we want you to be in the lowest level away from windows and doors, and this one is going to move off to the northeast, much like the others have, between 40 and 50 miles per hour. Brookville, you've got maybe 20 minutes. So now's the time to put that action plan that we hoped you reviewed when the watch was issued a few hours ago. Now's the time to put that into motion. Go ahead and get into the safest part of your home. A rotating storm just to the south of Oldenburg, moving toward Brookville. So we'll move across basically the southern half of Franklin County in the next 10 to 20 minutes. So we want to make sure that you're weather aware there and safe at this point. Let's show back, and we're back to the radar, and we'll go up a little bit, monitoring a couple of storms here. That one in Connersville, and we've got one just south of Rushville that still look fairly intense. And sometimes when we see these little notches or little hooks, that could be a little rotation that's starting to tighten up. That's right over Connersville. And the reason Sean told you, go ahead and treat this one maybe a little more like a tornado warning than a severe thunderstorm warning, because these can quickly rotate with little to no warning. So we're here to let you know that this one is over Connersville, moving northeast. So Abington and Richmond, it's moving your way in the next 10-15 minutes. So we want you to be in the safest part of your home, away from windows and doors. Let's come back out. We've got that severe thunderstorm warning for, looks like this might be a new one. The good news for the Pendleton area, that cell that developed that Sean was tracking, that has since moved east, and that severe threat has ended. New severe thunderstorm warning. This is going to be for parts of Henry County, and that's going to go until 2:30. Hancock County, this includes you until 2:30. These storms moving northeast 40 to 50 miles per hour with potential for damaging winds and the potential for large hail and still that potential these could rotate. And then to the north and west, nothing severe here, which is good news, but boy, we still have some heavy rain. Logansport, Peru, this area was hit hard last week with 2 to as much as 3-4 inches of rain. We had flood warnings up for the rivers, including Wabash. Yes, sir.
That cell over Fayette County, Connersville, they need to, I hope they're in their safe spots and been listening to us, because that rotation has really ramped up there.
Okay, so maybe, yeah, go, I think Sean's got that up on velocities to show you on links 1, and it's basically the Connersville, Waterloo area that you're looking at, Sean.
Yep, yeah, that's it right there. The last scan just came in. That's a definite tightening of rotation. You can see it for yourself. So I always use the figure skater analogy. This is the figure skater putting the arms close to the body, spinning faster. We could have a developing tornado right now. Would not be shocked to see if we get a tornado warning issued out of this either way, based on what I'm seeing on live Doppler 13 radar. You need to be in those safe locations. Interior portion, away from windows, lowest level. Basement if you have it, not lowest level of your home or office or whatever it may be. Richmond, I want you watching this one too. Abington, Centerville as well. You're in the polygon, and let's look at the debris tracker, and not seeing anything as of right now. We'll see if that changes. But that is a strong velocity signature that's lifting north and northeast of Connersville over Waterloo right now. And so let's dive in a little bit closer here. You know, let me turn off that tornado watch so we can see the terrain a little bit. So this is just outside of town in Connersville. Rotation, strongest part of it is right there, approaching Waterloo. Now keep in mind, you're looking at a radar scan. These storms all day long have been moving at about 45 to nearly 50 miles per hour. So we look upstream, we look up northeast. So if you're on this map, basically from Waterloo and east, I'll circle it. This whole area right in here. Brownsville, Hopeville, Clifton, you need to treat this as a tornado right now. Get in your safe spots and ride this thing out until it can get to the east, until we can give you the all clear. I suspect we're going to get a tornado warning. There's also some rotation. This is outside of Rushville, okay? What's left of that polygon. There's some weak rotation, much weaker than what you're seeing. That's the strongest signature that we have right there. This thing may tornado here very, very soon, if it's not already. Angela.
Yeah, and that was, you know, when we had kind of a larger view, Sean, we were letting you know, Wayne County, you were going to be next. And to treat these, even if they are severe thunderstorm warning, because of the atmosphere that we're dealing with and that threat that these quickly could rotate with little to no warning, that's why you have us. We were warning you to let you know that that one could go tornadic, and it looks like that at least has that potential now. This is a large view. Severe threat has completely ended. The tornado watch dropped now. If you are west of Indianapolis, it's east for the next, I'd say, hour, maybe 2 at the most, that we're going to be concerned with the potential for severe storms. From Marion south to Carmel into Indianapolis, Franklin, Muncie, we've got a few storms headed your way. And then, of course, that cell that shows that strong rotation approaching Richmond, and then the other one south that is near Brookville. So we will go south on live Doppler 13 radar to show you some of the storms that concern us at this point, along with the National Weather Service. There's the cell that is approaching Brookville. So it's now just to the east of Oldenburg and just north of Sunman. Still has a little bit of that notch or a little hook. So if it is rotating, that rotation is going to be there. Now just minutes away from Brookville. Last time we checked in on you, we gave you about a 20-minute warning. I'd say 5-10 minutes at the most that you need to be in the safest part of your home. And that's going to include a good part of Franklin County. Let's go north. Here's the storm that really intensified basically right over Connersville. So there's Connersville, there's Liberty, and it's just to the north over Waterloo, approaching Abington, Centerville, Richmond. So we're going to be in Wayne County now. We want you to be in the safest part of your home, lowest level, away from windows and doors. Treat this one like a tornado. It does have some strong rotation with it, and we'll check the velocities while we're here. and maybe put a track on it. And again, still fairly tight rotation that is near and just east of Waterloo. This will move northeast in between Centerville, Abington, Richmond, Economy. So if you're in Wayne County, again, treat this one more like a tornado warning than a severe thunderstorm warning, with that potential that this storm could rotate. Let's go north and show you some additional storms that we're watching, because there was a stronger one. These are severe thunderstorm warnings now. Newcastle to Mount Pleasant. It's just west of you. So heads up, Henry County severe thunderstorm warning for you. This will move toward Newcastle, head toward Mount Pleasant. Muncie, you will get in on some of the heavy rain and the gusty winds with this storm. Severe thunderstorm warning. We'll check velocity since we're here. Again, easiest way for us to tell if we have any rotation. Looks like a little bit of weak rotation west of Newcastle. Not very tight, so that's good news, but still may have that potential for some wind damage, so please keep that in mind. And yeah, as far as our shear detector goes, nothing really standing out, but just heads up, Newcastle, Mount Pleasant, Muncie, you've got kind of a cluster of storms moving in. And we will go north and northwest from Fishers to Elwood. Non-severe heavy rain right now over Fishers, impacting the northern sections of Marion County. That will head toward the Castleton area. The good news for the afternoon and evening drive, these are going to be moving out. And good news too, as kids head home from school, the severe threat should be ending. So timing on this was good, but you may have some kiddos come home today that had to get in their safe place at school because of tornado warnings, and they practiced for that, so they're ready for it. But most likely there were a handful of schools, if not more, that had to do that today because of the severe threat. Heavy rain approaching Elwood. We've got rain in Kokomo, Logansport, Marion. Nothing severe here, which is some good news, but heads up, Muncie, Newcastle, we still have that strong storm moving your way. And we will head south. These are the two that we're most concerned with at this point. So Brookville and Richmond. Right now, Sean, appear to be the two strongest cells with the greatest potential that these are rotating.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are, and then they're moving quickly. They're moving out quickly here. We've got, not a surprise. I think we're pushing almost 2,000 power outages near McCordsville with what we were showing earlier. Let's hope there's not significant damage with that, but we do know at least there was, by all accounts, a tornado debris signature. Again, that's just something that's getting lofted up by the storm. Exactly what it was. That's why we get our crews out there to inspect to see what's going on. So as we set the stage here, we're coming up, we're at 205. The western side of Marion County now, the severe threat's over. And downtown Indianapolis, the severe threat is over. We'll show you live Doppler 13 radar, and I'll just draw the line. You can see it for yourself. And this is timing out pretty close to what we were thinking. So again, everywhere on the east side of this line, all over here, Newcastle, Muncie, Richmond, till these cells can get into Ohio, still got to, be weather aware, which we say that a lot of times. This is what we mean. You got to watch these with us until they can get out of the state. There's still a tremendous amount of spin in the atmosphere for these cells to tap into. You go west of that line, Frankfort, Lafayette, Crawfordsville, severe weather threat over. Doesn't mean that you're not going to have strong gust from this storm system itself, but the severe threat is over here. But we're going to be watching these cells closely. We have to do analysis, and I'm telling you, that storm that's south of Richmond near Abington still showing a tight radar couplet. All right, still showing a real tight couplet there. Moving east, it looks like that may stay just to your south in Richmond. Ooh, maybe not. I can't rule you out right now. So if you're in Richmond or south of town especially, you better watch that one until it gets over into Ohio. I expect that happens before 3 o'clock. And then as we move around with live Doppler 13 radar, we have severe thunderstorm warnings, and doesn't matter what's doing the damage. If it's doing damage, we can still get 60+ gusts out of some of these storms today. So we still have severe thunderstorm warning that includes Mount Pleasant as well as Newcastle, Middletown. That goes until 2:30. And then these stronger cells That one that's prompting a tornado warning down there in the southern portion of Franklin County, that stays south of Brookville. And that'll be over in Ohio before 3 o'clock as well. And then we'll just kind of be on the recap of what's happened. But we know there's pockets of power outages, which is not a complete surprise. Even if we didn't have thunderstorms today, we were expecting those because of the strong gust. You can see the movement. These are east-northeast, 45 to at times 50 miles per hour. But we're getting to the point now, and as we zoom in, I'll zoom in here, we're getting to the point now for, again, that line and west, severe threat's over. But still be on your guard on the eastern side of the state. We cannot rule out, Angela, a couple of more warnings here before we get to the top of the hour and this threat really starts to move out of the state.
Yeah, and the timing could be better, as I mentioned. Kids heading home from school, buses out on the roads. You never want to have severe storms during that timeline. Oftentimes when that happens, they get held at school. So looking like the timing is going to be pretty perfect as far as getting these out of here into parts of Ohio between now and about 3 o'clock or so. This kind of sets the stage. Sean said it. Yes, west, no severe threat. That has ended. Is it still going to be windy this evening? Yes. So you've got some rain that is being whipped around thanks to strong winds. Lafayette south to about Terre Haute. This will include the Greencastle area. And then east is our concern over the next couple of hours. Technically, tornado watch goes until 4 o'clock, and we still have a couple of cells that at least have the potential to rotate, if not rotating already. Good news for you, Brookville, it is staying just south. Sean just mentioned that, but we kind of go street level and show you basically Mound Haven, Oak Tree Crossroads. So we're street level in Franklin County, south of Brookville. Cedar Grove, this is where we have the heavy rain, the lots of lightning, potential for some hail with this and some damaging winds, and still the potential it could rotate, and it's moving off to the northeast. So who's next? We've got Mount Carmel, Peoria, Sharptown, so staying just south of Brookville at this point, with the potential that this one still has some rotation. Not quite as tight as far as looking at the velocities, the red and green close together, but still has some rotation with it. So we'll continue to watch you southern half or so of Franklin County. That is just to the south of Brookville. Now let's come out and we'll go north, and there is Abington. We've been mentioning you for about the last 20-30 minutes as this storm really intensified over Waterloo. Still under a severe thunderstorm warning, but sure looks like some rotation here. Whether it's reaching ground level or not, we don't know, but some damage possible with this storm. So heads up, safest part of your home, lowest level away from windows and doors, and this is just to the southwest of Richmond. So Richmond, we want you to stay with us and stay weather aware for about the next, I'd say 20 minutes or so until we get this storm out of here into parts of western Ohio. They are moving off to the northeast, 45 miles per hour easy, so it won't take long before they are gone. Analyzing rotation elsewhere, nothing really standing out, so that's some good news. We'll check our shear detector a little bit there, and we were watching that area, the Newcastle, Mount Pleasant, Muncie area, so some weak picking up on that with the shear detector that is just south of Muncie at this point, and we will go south and a little stronger here between Abington and Richmond, and a little stronger in that cell south of Brookville. We can take you out to this area live from one of our cameras. This is along I-70 in the Richmond area. So here we are, Brookville. Let's go north back up to the Richmond area, where we had a very strong cell overhead. Heavy rain, you can see that from the camera here. Traffic seems to be moving along just fine, but again, we're live. You can see the rain falling down. At this point, well, I guess the flag is, everything is still pretty breezy out there. Just be weather aware. This one still fairly strong at this point with the potential for some damaging winds and at least still could rotate at this point and have some small hail with it. That's how it looks live from our camera. This is how it looks live with live Doppler 13 radar. The heavy rain moving into Richmond right now, tracking northeast. It'll head into parts of Ohio within the next about 20 minutes or so. So that's some good news. There is that stronger cell, Newcastle up to about Muncie, that still has a severe thunderstorm warning on it till 2:30 this afternoon. And then we've got some heavy rain, Elwood, approaching Anderson, just east of Fishers, and then into the Knightstown area, and still the tornado watch until 4 o'clock. Wouldn't be surprised to have that go until 4, just because we want to make sure this last line here, what's moving through east of Fishers, completely clears the state, and then that severe threat will be over for everyone. But we've been monitoring some strong winds outside of the thunderstorms, and those have really started to get gusty this afternoon. We are under a wind advisory, 46-mile-per-hour wind gust at Indianapolis, and that's not associated with a thunderstorm cell. A near 50-mile-per-hour wind gust in Shelbyville, 48-mile-per-hour wind gust in Terre Haute. We can take you live back outside to the Marion area. This is Interstate 69. Ooh, visibility is low because of all of the heavy rain. It's rainy, and that rain is being really whipped around by those winds we just showed you, at times gusting 40 to almost 50 miles per hour, not with the thunderstorms. But Marion does have a couple of stronger cells up along Interstate 69, and those are moving off to the north and east. In terms of warnings, just a couple left, mainly far eastern part of the state and to the southeast. So we'll get you caught up on those, and then we'll toss it back over to Sean for an update. There's the storm in Richmond. Again, we showed you a live picture there along I-70. Very rainy, very windy. Visibility is low. That storm now almost out of Franklin County. So here's basically the state line, and Wilmington office, National Weather Service office out of Wilmington, Ohio, going to go tornado warning on that storm as it heads into their coverage area and out of central Indiana. We go north. There's the storm in Richmond. We've got another cell redeveloped right over Waterloo, and then the heavy rain back west that will show into Spiceland, Newcastle, Muncie, Shelbyville, non-severe Knightstown, Shelbyville, but heavy rain and some gusty winds. Shelbyville, we just showed you, you have a wind gust near 50 miles per hour, not associated necessarily with a big thunderstorm. It's just very windy out there. And then north to Muncie, still have the severe thunderstorm warning until 2:30 for Henry County, including Newcastle, and southern Delaware County, by the way. And then back west, Elwood, Anderson, picking up the basically portions of Hamilton County and northeastern Marion, and then we're going to quickly see that severe threat diminish. Sean, I found it interesting that we had that kind of cluster of power outages with that storm that you tracked just south of Pendleton Pike near the Oak Landing area.
Yeah, and speaking of power outages here, still reporting 1,500 in Hancock County. We've got 3,000 in Vigo County, over 2,000 in Monroe County, and down around Bedford about 1,000 as well. We may tack on some more. Just looking at the chat room as we look at radar as well. At this point in time, no reports of damage in Madison County. That's good. Let's hope that is a trend that continues. We've got crews on the way, checking out around McCordsville with the cell from earlier. And I just sent out a tweet, what we've been talking about on the air all day long, that along and west of this line that you see, the threat of severe weather is over. Okay, that includes Indianapolis, still in play east of the city. So still in play in Hancock and Madison until that line can get through. Richmond still in play, Muncie as well, and Marion. But Kokomo, westward toward Lafayette. And for our friends down in Brown County, Columbus, threat for severe weather is over for you as well. We still will not get this line probably all into Ohio until probably around and maybe a little after 3 o'clock, which is right on schedule. Still got some decent cells there that are in the eastern portion of the county, and still a strong velocity signature there near Richmond. Now, mind you, the radar is shooting up into this storm, not close to the ground by the time it gets over there. It's still up aloft, but the storm itself is rotating. It'll be in Ohio within a matter probably of about 15 minutes. So hang in there, Richmond. I know you're hearing some rumbles of thunder. That's the one we've been concerned with. And then we've got the one that's just about into Ohio now, moving out of Franklin County. And then we're pretty much, then we just wait and watch, wait and see as these cells that are on radar that are around Elwood and Anderson, is the atmosphere used up now before they get over closer to Muncie and Newcastle, and that's a possibility as the severe threat starts to go down. Speaking of Newcastle, I want to show you, this is INDAT-CAM. You can see what we're talking about. So bottom line here, even without thunderstorms, yeah, there you go. I mean, even without thunderstorms today, this is what we were going to be contending with. We knew we were going to have a very windy day outside of thunderstorms, but then you throw in showers and you throw in a thunderstorm, that can take some of that stronger wind that's aloft and drag it down to the ground. And this is what you get, it just ups the odds of getting gusts over 50 miles per hour. So we're still going to be in that, by the way. The wind advisory technically goes until 7 p.m., so we're still going to have wind issues. And even if you didn't have a thunderstorm today, I can't rule out that you may not, lose your power for a little bit because of the strong wind that's going to be wrapping through. But it will be shifting direction. It's going to be coming more west-northwest as it shoves these storms over into Ohio here. I'm going to put on our storm reports and see, may not see a whole lot just yet because I haven't seen a whole lot in the chat room. There's one that's over in the western Indiana, and that was from earlier. That's 1242. And that was from when the storms were beginning to build during our noon show. So as it stands right now, as we look at the latest on warnings, and they canceled Delaware and Henry County, that's some great news there. But at the airport in Indianapolis, Angela, just had a 52 mile per hour gust that was not associated with thunderstorms. So there you go. Severe threat is going to be winding down west to east from Indy to Ohio line over the next, say, 40 minutes. But the strong gusts are going to remain very much in play, Angela.
Yes, and we're going to, now that we have most of the warnings now pushing into portions of Ohio, we're going to get you back to regular programming, but don't go anywhere. We're going to stay with you the next at least hour or so until we're sure that the complete severe threat is over for all of central Indiana. This is live Doppler 13 radar. We still have these pockets of heavy rain and some storms, mainly eastern half of the state, and it's east where the tornado watch goes until 4 o'clock. Continue to watch us. We'll continue to keep you updated when and if we have any additional warnings. Otherwise, we've got some crews out in the area surveying any potential damage. We'll have updates on power outages and team coverage for you at 5.